What did Jerry Seinfeld experience the first time that he was in Israel after October 7th? Check out this clip where he's being interviewed by Bari Weiss. You're not going to want to miss it. It's something you rarely see in Jerry Seinfeld. So we'll watch this clip together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
You made Seinfeld during a period that I think will be remembered as like the golden age of American Jewish life. And
because anti-Semitism was a relic, seemingly a relic.
Yeah.
History of history books.
I think people felt like history had ended and the American Jewish experience was fundamentally singular and different from any other diaspora experience.
Right, of course.
And, well, I wonder, A, if you thought about the Jewishness of the show.
Never.
Okay. And do you think about it differently now? Now that that period's over?
Yeah, well,
or ended.
When first time I went to Israel after I had finished the show, and I saw the way they reacted to me, and I realized this is not just normal interaction of celebrity-public interface. This is different.
How?
I meant something, which I never knew. And it gave me a wonderful feeling like, oh, I didn't realize what I was doing had another value that I didn't know about. And I, of course, loved it.
You have always seemed just apolitical, I guess is the word, like above the fray.
Okay.
And, you know, that everything feels politicized right now.
Yeah.
And so you yourself have become politicized in a way.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you feel that?
I do.
You comfortable with it?
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. In fact, when we get protesters occasionally, I love to say to the audience, you know, I love that these young people, they're trying to get engaged with politics. We have to just correct their aim a little bit. You know, they don't seem to understand that as comedians, we really don't control anything.
Right,
you know?
right.
No one's really...
no, you're pulling the strings over the war in Gaza.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I think of you.
Yeah, yeah.
You've done a bunch of shows, obviously. You're constantly doing shows. You did one in Syracuse in December that attracted protesters, and then they were chanting that you're complicit in genocide. Then when I gave this talk in February at the Y, there was this footage of you where they were calling you a genocide supporter and Nazi scum. And the thing that jumped out at me was not the things they were saying, of course, because they say it to anyone.
Yeah.
It's that you were smiling and waving and genuinely seemed to be enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
Why?
It's so silly. It's like, you know, they wanna express this, you know, sincere, intense rage, but again, a little off target.
Right, right.
Little off target. So that's, to me, comedic, you know.
You were in Israel since the war started. How was that trip?
The most powerful experience of my life.
Really?
I'm sure, yeah.
Why?
You know, you just... You know.
Are you thinking of someone in particular?
Sorry.
One thing that I've been thinking about is how a huge part of the way you think about comedy is how the audience never lies.
Right.
But what happens if a lot of people are wrong? In other words, there is I don't think Jews do well in an age of mobs. And I feel that right now in our culture, it's really easy to form mobs.
Yes, really easy.
And what's the difference between the audience never lying, but when does the audience kind of tip into the mob? Do you see where I'm going with that?
I do. There's
something...
Yeah.
But I really have been wanting to ask you about, like for someone that relies on the truth telling of the audience to tell you whether or not something is funny, what does that same principle apply to a mass of people? You see what I mean?
Well, you can't act like we don't see this every day in many realms. Let's just talk politically, left and right. You're watching mobs. They're mobs. They're mobs believing their own crap, right?
Yeah.
That's what a political party is. We're going to make up a bunch of nonsense and we'll all agree to it, right? Right. Okay, let's print up some bumper stickers and get out there, kids. That's politics. So we're tribal animals. We're social creatures. We look for agreement and consensus. We're driven by agreement and consensus, and mob rule gives us comfort, gives us certainty.
Yeah.
It's all BS.
Very interesting to see Jerry Seinfeld in a way that we don't typically see him. Usually he's all laughs and smiles, and we saw him, even just for a moment, get very emotional when thinking about his experience in visiting Israel after October 7th. I remember reading an article in 2023 prior to October 7th. It was published by the Wall Street Journal and the Market Watch. And it was saying that Jewish people in the United States are seen as very favorably. They're seen, as far as a faith group, they're seen the most favorably. And the title of the article was "Call It the Seinfeld Effect." And in other words, that people, in Jerry Seinfeld style of just a good-natured, happy, funny guy, this is how people writ large were perceiving Jews in America. And then I think you see a contrast with how large segments, not the majority, but how large enough swaths of people are now viewing Jews just shortly after that article was written. And their perception and perspective has changed, not just about the situation, what's happening in Israel, but people's mentality, people's minds shift has even crossed into Jews in the United States or Jews outside of the situation in Israel, linked to it and their perceptions of what's going on. It's an odd thing, and it's a bit of a scary thing in some ways, but kudos to Seinfeld over here, Jerry Seinfeld, for standing his ground and saying what he believes, and being a proud Jewish person that is in the public eye and not backing down to those that would come and harass him at every opportunity that they're granted. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.